Tszyu loses to Fundora. Was the cut the reason? All this and much, much more on Tough Talk Tuesday.
This is the show that has hosted everyone from Sugar Ray Leonard to Keith One-Time Thurman. This is Tough Talk Tonight, brought to you by Heavy Bag Boxing.
Welcome to another episode of Tough Talk Tuesday. As always, I'm your host, Lucas Pickers. Alongside me, I got Robert Alexander, James DeCampo. How's it going, everybody?
Good. Super good.
Good to have you all on. We had a great weekend of fights. Where do we start, guys? Who wants to pick a fight? We can't. you can't start out with the main events. So we need to hold off on those. Rob, what was maybe Julio Cesar Martinez? You want to talk about that fight and how he is continuing his winning ways?
No. No. What's he? What weight class is he in?
He fought at 112.
Yeah, exactly. So why would you come to me with that question? I feel like you're trying to set me up.
No, I thought you said something before the show. Did you not? That you wanted?
Yeah, I was trying to say that was not a hot topic. Is what I was trying to say.
All right, let's talk Seniesa versus Valle. I know we had a lot of chats off air about that fight, and a great fight. One, did the right person win, Rob? And one, is Seniesa getting the respect that she deserves?
My counterpart is gonna be more passionate than me about this, but no, I don't think the right fighter won in that fight. But ultimately, I had it close. I think it could have went really either way. But the main issue for me was I was not impressed with Estrada at all. I was more impressed with Valle and the things that she was able to do and how she kept her composure, because Seniesa came into that fight with a lot of emotion. You could tell in the ring she had a lot of emotion, a lot of banter about it and everything. And I really don't think she backed it up. I just don't feel like she backed up all of that talk, all of that emotion. And, Valle, in my opinion, to me, I felt like she listened to her corner really well, and she made some major adjustments in that fight off of listening to the corner. When they kept telling her, you go straight punches. Not only was she doing that, but she was landing combinations. And that's what impressed me. Estrada, I felt like caught her with some good shots, but it was one shot and that's it. It was pretty much one shot and she was done. Her defense was off that night. And I don't know if it was because she was trying to make it a nasty fight or what, but I wasn't impressed. I felt like she got exposed, and Valle deserved more credit than what she got in not just in the scorecards, but especially in the commentary. Okay, because the commentary was all the way one-sided.
So you had Valle winning though?
I had Valle winning the fight because, like I said, she was landing combinations. Now, if you go to the copy box numbers, there was only one punch difference in the fight, just one punch. And in my opinion, I felt like Valle got her so far off of her game and what we're used to seeing from Estrada. I felt like she should have won the fight. But the problem is when you do have an A-side, B-side fight, those swing rounds, if they're not decisive, they're probably going to go to the A-side. And I think that's what people were seeing. But the commentary was was disastrous. You have to go into that fight not being biased, and they just weren't giving Valet any credit. The judges gave Valet more credit than the commentary did.
I mean, I'm one that always says, the A side gets 2 rounds. However, I don't really think there was a lot of favoritism in this fight besides the commentary. The commentators are always going to be that way, and unfortunately, they're paid to be that way. It's hard to be honest, and argue against like a top ranked fighter when top rank's the one paying your fucking bills. You know what I mean? So saying that is, but I still had Seniesa. I mean, she was landing the more powerful shots, the more meaningful shots. She controlled the range a lot better in ring generalship. I saw Valet losing that. I could watch that over and over again. I don't see an outcome on where Valet wins. But James, I did want to get your
right quick. Just based on what Rob said, man, it was the announcers were super duper biased. But like you say, Top Rank is paying the bills. They pay the judges. They pay the announcers. They pay TV. They pay everything, right? And so that's just the way it is. But I wish they were a bit more neutral. I really do, because at some point they're selling you, in this case, Estrada and everything she did. And there's absolutely no credit for Yokasta Valle's work or Valle's work. And so I just thought I was really uncomfortable with the commentary because it was just so biased. Looking at the scores, I'm not at all in agreement with 97-93 3 times. I thought it was either a draw or I had it for Yokasta. Why? Because, it's like Rob said earlier, she threw the straight punches and landed really nice combinations. And I think that she reduced Estrada a little bit to, the one punch. Also, I'm not really a fan of all the showboating and the bullfighting kind of thing. And, those bolo punches that she opened up with in Southpaw. I'm like, the fuck is all that? I just thought that was kind of cheap. But, it was done for a reason. That's kind of to throw off Yokasta, in a sense. But yeah, no, I had Yokasta up at the end of the fight. That's what counts. And I thought we had a new champ, but it is what it is. Hopefully they'll get a rematch like the trainer wanted, and she expressed it. And I think what really caught my attention here was the fans. I'm not going to go on too long about it, but the fans don't lie. And someone got booed, and someone was cheered for. And it wasn't, Yokasta Valle did not get booed. So that says a lot. I think the fans really, really got it right.
Now, let me ask you, Lucas, but I'm going to elaborate my opinion on this after I ask you this question. But you and the commentators both felt that Seniesa landed the harder punches. Mm-hmm. When in this fight did she really hurt Valle?
I mean, nobody was truly hurt in this fight, but I do say the more powerful punches. You can have a more powerful punch landing necessarily without, somebody being stunned per se. But if you look down, I mean, look at the cut. Was that a headbutt?
The cut. I don't remember that being called a headbutt. Honestly, I don't remember if that was called a headbutt or not. But I said I was going to elaborate. And when you look at a fight, especially when you're trying to decide who won that fight, I felt like in those later rounds, those championship rounds, Valle was stronger. She actually came forward more. She landed and threw more straight punches in combinations than Seniesa. So
she wasn't evading the brawl
at all. She wasn't invading. She wasn't running. And like her trainer said, and like I said earlier, Seniesa's defense wasn't there. She was getting caught with 1-2s left and right in this fight. But she did back her off by landing a power punch here and there. to me, it wasn't enough. Valet kept going, and towards the end of the fight, Valet to me looked like the stronger fighter.
Well, Sakura, what do you have to say about this fight? So far, I've been teamed up against. I think I'm the only one that's actually saw Seniesa win.
Yes, I am torn on this one. I thought that was a very close fight. So for me, I didn't appreciate the scoring more than I didn't appreciate the decision. I mean, I felt that it could have easily been a draw situation or Valet kind of edging her out in the end in the 12th round, like Rob was describing. Well, championship rounds, 11 and 12, basically, were hers. So I just feel like the scoring had no description on what the fight really was about, like and how competitive it was. So I was very offended by that. I thought that was a slap in the face to Valet, who really put on a great show. And I definitely want to see her again, in the future against other opponents. I don't think Seniesa is going to look back and give her an actual rematch. I don't see it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like she should because A, it was really close and it's like, disputed who actually won. And B, like who else are they going to actually fight that's going to garner that much attention, especially down at minimum weight? So, I think that it would definitely benefit both of them to have a rematch, but I'm doubtful that we will get the rematch.
But like you said, I mean, if there is nobody else, I mean, that only leads one direction. That is a rematch. But I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but 97, 93, what the judges all saw is kind of how I had it. Maybe I need to rewatch it. I don't know. Maybe I'm the odd man out. But
Lucas,
maybe you're on Tom Brack's payroll.
I was gonna say, Lucas. Lucas, watch it with the sound off. Watch it on mute. Watch it when you don't listen to the commentary.
Rob, I got kids, man. I don't hear anything that any of them saying anyway. All I see is the action. Okay, they running around crazy. I don't hear none of that.
It looked like to me Seniesa was struggling with also a lot of pressure. Like she wasn't performing well anytime that Valet decided to put a lot of pressure on her. So that means that there's some back foot movement that she might want to work on in the future for when you are getting pushed back a lot from a stronger boxer as far as strength and conditioning type stronger boxer. So I just feel like that it was a close fight, and I feel like it was definitely closer than 4 rounds, Lucas.
Right. Because, Seniesa was backpedaling a lot. She was moving back a lot, and Yokasta was moving forward. And Seniesa is really, really talented. I mean, she brings it when she wants. But in this case, I think she was evading her opponent quite a bit, moving back, moving sideways. And, again, that bullfighting thing, it just doesn't really add up much. Doesn't add up much for me. So I don't know. In the end, I thought Yokasta pulled it out, and hopefully we will get a rematch.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and this was the thing that got me. It's after the fight, Seniesa got to put on all these belts and undisputed this. The headbutt looked a little questionable to me. It did look like a little frustration type. Rub my chin in your forehead.
That's one of the things that the trainer pointed up when she was interviewed, Yokasa's trainer.
Yeah, but I was going to say, Seniesa definitely, she got some things to work on. But Valet is the type of boxer that will bring out the best in Seniesa. We've all seen her against opponents that she's going to have her way against. This is an opportunity where she actually learned on the job, I believe, with a stronger competitor.
Now, to speak on, Lucas, what you're asking, though, I think a rematch is inevitable. because of the bad blood. And the fan the fans let them know. The fans let Seniesa know. Uh, they were not happy with her performance at all. And then Valet earned more fans after this fight. There's still bad blood. I don't feel like it's finished. I feel like it's gonna be unfinished. The trash talk is gonna get up there, and maybe after the next couple of defenses, Valet's gonna come calling again.
I don't know. Like I said, for me, it just seemed like the more meaningful punches were landed by Seniesa. I didn't really see, like we talked about earlier, I didn't really see anybody hurt necessarily. Nobody stumbling around or nothing like that. But the more meaningful punches seemed to be on Senesa's side of things, and the ring generalship too, for the most part. But 97-93 looked good to me, but I got 3 people beating me up, say it was not. I want to hear from you guys, so tell me. Who did you see winning this fight? Because they disagree. They have LA winning, and so you guys said it was close, though, right? Like you're not saying it should be 97-93 the other way, are you?
It should be
No.
a draw. A draw. I would be a draw if anything. A draw if anything.
But
I felt that the championship rounds, Valet clearly took over the fight and dominated. And with the other rounds being so close, that's like demonstrating to me that she deserved that win. But I do see other people's point of view where there was some couple of rounds, especially in the first half, that were really close and hard to determine. I know that, some judges do like to take and reward the flashier power punches that somebody might land. And that's when you come on the Seniesa side. But then some people like the effective aggression that Valet was doing, which, for me, it's about the aggression and it's about the combination punches that you put in, despite whether or not it's like a big power punch every time you land something, but just the fact that you're landing way more, and you're using combinations in a different way. And you're making your opponent not look their best. To me, those are all things that help me decide who would win a specific round. Now, I mean, with that being said, we don't know what the judges were thinking, but hey, they all thought the same thing. So apparently they are on Lucas's point side, where the flashier, heavier punch is what saves Seniesa.
But let me ask you this, Shakura, and everybody, in your opinion, in this fight, was Senesa's power punching form via counter punching, or was she actually aggressive in landing the power shot? Was she just countering her opponent, or was she actually pressing the action herself?
I don't know. I didn't really see a lot of counterpunching. In my memory, it's a lot of leading with left hooks. But I don't remember any.
I definitely felt that she was being the aggressor, with the effective aggression a lot of times in the fight. When she looked her best was seeming that when she had Seniesa on her back feet. You know?
And the punch stats back that up. I mean, she landed more percentage and higher amounts of power punches.
Who did?
Seniesa.
Seniesa did? Okay. Well, to me it was close, and I think the aggressor overall was Yokasta, and that's why I tend to favor her in this bout.
I'm with you, James. I'm with you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's move on here. Let's talk Oscar Valdez TKOing Liam Wilson.
Okay. I mean, I was kind of surprised at how fast this happened, and he looked so impressive in that particular fight. All hats off to Oscar for, coming back and getting this W after a loss to Navarrete. He was able to, get back into the topic with discussions on him because of the fact that he delivered and he KO'd Liam in such a different way than what Neverete had with him, right? Like Neverete had a tough night when it came to Liam Wilson, and then Oscar just destroys him, like and early. So that's pretty impressive to me, and I'm like, okay, Oscar, maybe you do have another run in you.
We had a good opponent. He had a good opponent, and then there was that typical Oscar Valdez style, where it's really, really come forward and shoot that left hook and follow with the right hook, and man, it's it's getting a little hard to watch because he's that dimension in his fight is kind of diminished in a sense. He does the same thing over and over and over. And I really like to see Oscar Valdez when he was fighting under Manny Robles. I think there was a lot more dimension in his game. He wasn't crouching as much. He was upright a little bit more. I think he had a little bit more footwork. But in the
lot more.
He did enough of the. Say it again.
I said a lot more.
Yeah, no. The
footwork.
idea. It seems like his game is really kind of diminished in a sense where he's doing the same thing over and over and over. But I love the kid, and what I really like about Oscar is the way he treats his opponents before and after the event. Before out, very, very respectful, and that's very much classic Oscar Valdez. What a good kid.
Well, Coach Roble is the truth, okay, when it comes to Latin boxing. Teaching kids, the basics on up to transitioning to a real elite type fighter. That's who you would go to if you're in that area. But I'm just saying that Valdez had to fight some really tough opponents, some of the best in the divisions that they were in. And now it's like, was he going to beat Shakur? No. Was he going to beat Neverete? I never thought he was going to beat Neverete. There's a size difference there, first of all.
Right.
But anyway, I just feel like he had some tough opponents that anybody would have had a rough time with. But he still took those fights, and he took, said yes to the opponents. And now those, what do you call them? Phenoms have moved out of the division. So now it's like he can still reign that division, I believe. It's like you just can't help when you meet up with these, phenoms and you got to fight them. But, it kind of helped him in the fact that he's able to, he's name worthy now.
Well, you mentioned Navarrete, you mentioned Navarrete, and I was shocked when he lost.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought, I just saw the size difference and the power difference. And I just kind of assumed that Neverete would have his way on that one. But, I could have been wrong too. It's just that it worked out that way. Maybe because his conditioning wasn't as what, we expect too, because he had been out with the injury before that. And they just threw him back in there for a quick fight and then right to Neverete. So I think that also, wasn't a good idea. But he had to do it when he had to, because Neverete moved right up into a different weight class as soon as that fight was done. So, he's had a rough road, Valdez. But, I mean, like I said, I think that the division now is much more open. And he would be a big player in that if he doesn't move up himself. I don't think he should move back up again, because it just didn't seem. I guess it didn't seem like that was his weight class.
Definitely did not. At least not to me. Rob, you blow up for quiet.
So I'm gonna go full picture route with this one, because both my counterparts, I agree with what they said both. So to speak on the fight, I loved it because you have a Mexican style fighter in Valdez versus an Australian who actually takes his career and his boxing style based on Mexican style fighting. So that's why we had such a barn burner of a fight, and it was a great fight, but it was the right turnout. And I do feel sorry for Liam Nelson. He has great passion for this sport, great willpower and determination. He just he comes up short. So he's a great opponent. He still will continue to be. That being said, what Shakur pointed out in Oscar Valdez, in this world, in this day and age, he fights the best. Period. He's fought the best. He's continued on his path. And if you look at the telecast, the up and coming big fighters being promoted, all calling his name. They're all calling out Oscar Valdez. They want to fight him. And with this win, it puts him in a great position, like Shakur said, at this particular weight class to actually go ahead and try to make his mark on the sport.
Usually when people are calling you out, though, they usually means they see something.
They do.
You don't hear a lot of people calling out the bad motherfuckers in the sport, right? When Golovkin was at the top, you hear nobody say, Golovkin, I want you. And if you did, it was because they wanted a payday. It was somebody that was not that great of a fighter that, wanted the payday so that they could feed their family. This has nothing to do with like, oh, I think I can win type shit. That being said, Oscar Valdez and you just said, James, he looks lesser than himself, right?
No, don't do that. No, James, I'm sorry to cut in here because it was my time to talk, and Lucas just cut in on my time. The reason why I say don't
time. We all do that. That's what the show is.
The reason why I say don't do that to Oscar is because you're absolutely correct, Lucas. There's a reason why people want to call people out in today's day and age, right? They want to call him out because he has a name. Hell, Shakur just said it. He fought Navarrete and Shakur Stevenson. Those are 2 pound-for-pound fighters. He's already fought them. So what's happening is these up-and-coming fighters and these fighters like Liam Wilson call him out, want to fight him, and guess what he does against these guys? He knocks them out. He
He
proves his work.
Don't forget, he also had that incredible knockout against Burchelt, which everybody was shocked about. This is an elite level boxer. We're not saying that he's diminished. We're saying that he shouldn't be in that particular weight class when he's tapped out. He's tapped out at featherweight, super featherweight, like in there.
He's a solid 130. All his fights, well, not all of them, but most recently fighting at 130. Never moved up to 135. His next fight is against Dennis Berinchik. They're fighting at 135.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that he's an elite boxer, but he ran into some phenoms that they're beyond elite fighters. He ran into guys fighting top tier opponents, and he's maxed at the weight too. Like it's like all the odds were against him in the first place when he fought these guys, but he still had I think when he went into the Shakur fight, he didn't think he was necessarily going to lose. He thought he probably could knock him out too, just like he did Burchell. And then when he got in the fight with Navarrete, remember, was looking so bad against Liam Wilson that he was looking like, hey, he looked like primed for a defeat. So Oscar still thought that he could do something with him as well. So I don't think it's a situation where he's just like, taking money grab fights, even though it don't hurt that these are money fights.
No, the real good fight was Robson Conceição, because Conceição has brought a fight, really brought the best out in Valdez. And that's what we saw, his virtues in his fight and his toughness and his speed and his skills. And he really, really had to put together a great fight, and he did. That was really, really impressive. with him against Conceição. Well, with Shakur Stevenson, it was a different story. With Navarrete, I was shocked. I thought he would cut through Navarrete because of Navarrete's style, but that wasn't the case.
Right. Navarrete was the one that came prepared and ready to cut through Valdez instead. The only thing about that Conceição fight, I didn't like the fact that he had that situation with the peg use. He tested positive, and then they still allowed him to fight because he said he thought that maybe something was in a tea that somebody gave him, which could obviously be true. Not saying it's not. Just saying that it's different treatment for different boxers.
Yeah.
And where we see that this is not an equal playing field when it comes to peg use. And then for him to be able to edge out Conceição, it just made me, a little sour because it's like, yeah, you did have that edge, of unfairness. And then you edged out the win. So, it's kind of like counterproductive for me because in the back of my mind, that's what happened in that fight. Like he had an unfair advantage. So, I still love Oscar Valdez. I think he's an amazing fighter. And I think that he's had some tough competition. And I'm looking forward to who he might fight next. Actually, I want to see who they throw at him. I mean, I'm really hoping that Leo Santa Cruz comes out of semi-retirement. Because I don't know what happened to him. But he's at featherweight.
He's gone.
Yeah, I think he's done.
I mean, he never announced a retirement.
You don't have to. Sometimes you just disappear.
Yeah, but he's always in the crowd watching
right.
his possible competition. That's what is irritating. I'm like, well, you said you retired, but you always make sure you at the fights with people that's down in the divisions that you would be fighting at.
Right.
Leo still has nightmares of the Tank uppercut. Okay.
I'm sure that's part of it. It's in the back of his mind, he got, sparked for real good. So nobody wants to repeat of that in your career,
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't come back within the next 3 or 4 months, I would say he's probably not going to. It's been that long. Plus, he coming off of a huge layoff. I mean, he would be coming off of well over 2 years, and then his fight before that, was against Tank, and that was 2 years before that fight. So, I mean, it's a year and a half. So, he's had these long layoffs. It's not good for boxing, as anybody knows. But James, I did want to come back to that comment, how you said he didn't use his feet nearly as much. Now, do you think it was just stylistically it was matching up for him that, hey, I don't need to use my feet, I need to sit here and bang? Or was it, I didn't train for that?
He's a banger. He's a banger.
Man.
And he'll find a spot, he'll find a sweet spot and just torture his opponents with, the left hook. He likes to lead with a left hook. And he throws it from different angles at times. So sometimes it comes up with it. Sometimes it's kind of across. Well, that's all great, but I'd like to see him jab a little bit more and move to his left. And I don't know, man. It's just, what I see in him is just very, very, very repetitive. There should be some more dimension in there, but there's not. That's just not who he is. That's not the way he's cut. And he's making the best of it.
Yeah. I think that's like Reynosa's training style when it comes to his fighters, because you just described Canelo was come forward and he's in your face, and it's about just beating you down. Well, I'm sorry. I guess Emmanuel Stewart would say systematically breaking you down. But then you got people, like Roble that would incorporate a little bit more boxing in style. And that's what we've been seeing in Munguia up to this point, because he was working with Roble and Morales. And now Freddie Roach is going to put that finishing touch on him to make him vicious. So I think that's the next boxer that we really need to be looking at more closely. seeing his improvements with each fight is pretty amazing to me.
Well, the question was, who does he fight next? And I was looking at this 130 division and then seeing Mauricio Lara come up. I think
Oh,
Lara versus Valdez might be a good clash.
okay. Off this win or with like just straight into that fight?
Next fight.
Okay.
I mean, Lara. Sorry, not Lara, but yeah, Mauricio. He deserves a shot. He's been up there. He's got 26 wins on his record, 3 losses, so he's up there. And it'll fight, Mexican brawler versus Mexican brawler.
Can't go wrong with that.
No,
no, you can't.
Like a Mexican wedding.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. If you want a banger type fight, hell yeah. I mean, I'm just simply saying Lara is would be a good opportunity for him to have like, a championship fight, to try to see if he can be a champion against a really established, experienced former champion.
Very true. And, like you just mentioned, the Mexican champion, Mexican banger. Now let's go to another Mexican fighter, Inzerto Ramirez, guys. He's your first Mexican cruiserweight champion of the world.
All right. I mean, I like it when any boxer makes history. He's had a difficult road himself, and now he's up in the cruiserweight zone. Like, wow. I mean, I always knew he was a big boy, but I didn't know if he was going to make it all the way to cruiserweight for some reason. But now he's there, and we're going to see, if he's able to reign that division. There's a couple of good people in that division that I watched that are on like, European fight boxing cards, and they're in that cruiserweight division. So I want to see him matched up with some other talent. Can I say that I knew his opponent? No, I can't say that. So I don't know how much stock I can put into this particular fight, being that I also wasn't actually watching it because I needed to go back and watch it, that's for sure. But there were other fights on that got my attention a little bit more, so I had to defer on Zerto. But I was really excited when I heard that news that he had made history with that win.
Well, the name that comes up is Jai Opataya.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yes, exactly. And I think that might be a really, really good bout for him. I don't know I don't know where Opataya fights out of as far as promoters go, but Surdo is Golden Boy, and Golden Boy is willing to cross the street. So hopefully they can make that fight. I think that would be a good one for him. Opataya's got a good record. He's 24-0. So
who else is in that division?
Chris Bellum-Smith.
Okay.
Lawrence Okoli.
Okay, that's one of the ones that I've seen fight that seems pretty good. Yeah.
And a lot of guys that I'm not too familiar with, and there's a guy named, Joe Smith Jr. already suffered a loss to Ramirez, and
Jack.
Irish Mike Perez, Marcus Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few there, not a lot. It's a little bit.
Wow.
Fun.
I mean, I haven't seen Marcus Brown fighting in a while. Oh, so this is the wait a minute, that's cruiserweight.
Yeah.
Okay.
75.
Yeah, okay, because the British people, I mean I'm sorry. So Badou Jack, he vacated the title at cruiserweight to try to go up and secure a bridgerweight title. That's what I'm hearing.
I think so.
And then that's how the guy Michaela, I think his name is Michaela. He has a WBC title right now. He is with Coach Pedro out of Miami, I believe.
You're right.
Yeah, he has a cruiserweight WBC title now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's another good fight right there.
Also Armenian, so some of my homeboys from Glendale there, 27-2, so that could be a good match.
27-2. Okay.
Yeah. He's got 27 victories too, and he's got 12 KOs. So that could be a good bout for Ramirez.
Yeah, those some big boys up there at that cruiserweight time period. I mean, in that weight class. So I just feel like that there are some good fights that are available, but it's just not a highly decorated and highly marketed division, you
No,
know. But it has talent. It has some talent there.
it is a little no man's land because you have the theaters, and after that it tends to go to heavyweights, and that's where all the attention is.
Mm-hmm.
These guys really don't get spotlight.
Then the light heavyweights, there's some heavy hitters there, and I'm trying to think like which one of them is most likely to move up to that cruiserweight division. I mean, because right now, when we have the Bivol versus Benavidez, I'm sorry, Bivol versus what's his name now? Beterbiev, yes. When we have that fight, what's next? I mean, that was the top of the heap for both of them, is to fight each other and see who's the best at that division. Who knows if one of them feels like, well, I might as well try cruiserweight and see if I can get another title up there. Like you never know.
You all saw Ramirez fight this weekend, and he looked pretty big for the category or for the class.
He did.
Okay, so my question to you guys, really, really interested in knowing this. Can Ramirez come back to 175 and fight Bivol or Beterbiev?
I mean, can he or
can he make 175 is the question.
I mean,
yeah, I think he can but you know how they say it. He will for the right fight, meaning it has to be money fight.
Well, World War III is right around the corner, and that's Bivol.
Yeah.
And I think that he'd be well served to make weight at 175 and duke it out.
The winner.
Duke it out with the winner there.
He already lost to Bivol though. He already lost to Bivol, yeah.
I'm just hoping that Beterbiev can win this fight because I'd love to see him fight Ramirez.
Also, Hot Rod Kalajic is at that weight class too, and he's been on a winning streak lately. So I mean, there's some other Hot Rod Kalajic.
All right.
Hot Rod, yeah. I don't know. I can't pronounce his first name and last name together. Sorry. The real first name. So this right here is an opportunity too for some of these other, not as noteworthy fighters to be able to, throw their hat in the ring once Bivol versus Beterbiev actually happens.
I don't think Zerto's going back down to get knocked out by Beterbiev or outboxed again by Bivol. I just don't see that happening. No disrespect to Zerto. Nothing wrong with being third best in the division, but behind those two, I don't know honestly if he can beat those guys.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah. But the size helps.
CJ says, I'm sitting back waiting to talk about Pitbull bringing the brakes off of Rolly Romero. Roller skates Romero, sorry. And you know what, CJ? Ask and you shall receive.
There it is.
Isaac Cruz steamrolled Rolly Romero. Let's talk about it, guys. I'm surprised. Rob himself hasn't been chomping at the bit to talk about this as well. Honestly, I thought it was going to steal the show, and with me, maybe not, but it definitely did at least share the spotlight. It was a great fight, and honestly, you can't even give Raleigh a round. I mean, you're hard pressed, right? I mean, that was a completely one-sided fight of basically Isaac Cruz just chasing him throughout the ring, beating the crap out of the poor guy.
I mean, you know what? As one-sided as that fight was, it was still like suspenseful for some reason. Like it was still like intense, and you still wanted to see like, is there a way that he could make something happen against Isak? But Isak, as I mentioned before, he freaking got like the chin of a god. Okay, like he got hit. Rolly hit him with some nice power punches here and there, and it didn't faze him whatsoever. Like he still just kept coming forward. So his style is exciting. And he did surprise me because I didn't know if he would be able to get Rolly out of there because, as you mentioned, he was on the move. So, it was an impressive win for sure. And I don't know who's left for Isak to really face when they're using him a lot. A lot
Tank
of the time.
Tank rematch. Everybody wants to see it. Look, I still hold by the fact that should have either been a draw or a Cruz win. Maybe I'm the crazy one. I don't know, but that's what I want to see next. Let's see. CJ says, I'm wanting to know if Rob agrees that Cruz deserves a second shot at Tank with a full training camp to prepare.
No, CJ, no. Stay away from Tank. You had your shot. It's a different animal. Reason why I say that, Raleigh's a joke. Okay, I hate to say it. He didn't look very good against his last opponent. And last Saturday, he looked like hot garbage. Hot garbage, Lucas, he looked like. And for Pitbull went back to the old saying, talk shit, get hit. Okay? Because that's exactly what happened to Raleigh on Saturday night. He deserved every bit that he got. Cruz, look, Cruz was a tank on Saturday night, okay? He was a tank, but he's not the tank, CJ, okay? The next time they fight with a full camp, even, Tank will knock him out.
What makes you think that? I mean, what out of that fight or what going forward from Tank have you seen that makes you think all of a sudden Tank's gonna be able to knock this man out? Isak Cruz is no Raleigh Romero, right? And I mean, if you take that as a litmus test, right? Raleigh outboxed Tank for a good portion of that fight until he finally got caught. There was no outboxing Isak Cruz, okay? There was none of that shit. That was a one-sided fucking beat down.
Again, I agree. Pitbull beat the brakes off of Raleigh. Yes. But Raleigh is not Tank. I'm telling you. Tank will look at the first fight, see where he went wrong. Hell, maybe there was even something wrong in the camp with Tank going up against Pitbull that first time around.
Come on, man. It's not like Gervonta Tazin hasn't struggled against other people. You look at what happened with Gamboa, right? I mean, those two, if you compare Gamboa, again, not even close. Isak Cruz.
Why are y'all calling for this fight again, man? Why? Why are y'all calling for it?
Let's go.
I'm not giving it to you.
Let's go to some comments here. Dahlia Duran. I'm still wondering what Oscar De La Hoya is talking about when he stated on that video that he made it that it was only 3 promoters in the world. Please clarify. Now, I'm not going to assume to know what he meant by that, but I would imagine he was just talking about the 3 ones that were mainly prominent back in the day. And we've had Eddie Hearn move over here since then, but I assume he's talking about Bob Arum, himself, and of course PBC. I forget his name off the top of my head now. Al Heyman, yeah.
Heyman.
Al
I think
Heyman.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why he needs this kind of attention. I mean, it was bad enough when he was just laughing at Rolly, since they had a little beef together. And it's like, Oscar, you a promoter. Why are you still involved in these childish things? Like, be a professional. And you're laughing at a fighter when they lose, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think it was funny. I just didn't. Especially him as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? This is a former world champion, multi-division champion. Like, you know, I didn't think that was showing any class right there.
Yeah, but sometimes his behavior is a little bit strange, and this is pretty much like in keeping with the way he acts. I was kind of shocked when he was ringside laughing his ass off, and then, you know, did another video where he's sitting in that chair saying, you know, what happened, you dumbass, or whatever. So I was just totally shocked.
Yeah, the chair one, that's what I saw when he was in the chair.
Yeah,
and,
what a promoter does is puts fights together and leaves it at that. But this was a little surprising, to say the least.
Yeah.
But
I don't like to see any former champions or, you know, like retired boxers going after a boxer that's out, you know, and doing his thing now. I just find it like, you know, dude, like, you used to be this, like, you used to be involved with this, and you know you didn't like when somebody went after you. Like, so why are you doing it now? I just don't like that kind of shit. Like, I like shit talking, but between boxers, it's actually about the box. Not with a promoter versus a boxer. Like, come on now.
Raleigh seems, I think, to get under a lot of people's skin with just his general personality. And yeah,
maybe,
like,
yes, true, but I don't see why. I mean, you see what you're dealing with from the
Y'all gonna let me address it?
You hold on, yeah. I'm still going with CJ's comments. Hey, hang on, now he ain't done yet. Said Pitbull had 2 weeks to train, and now CJ says Tank was losing to Santa Cruz until he caught him as well.
Mm.
Right. Let me CJ. What? Why are y'all saying that Cruz is such a great fighter that he needs to fight Tank again? It was a step up fight for Cruz in the first place. And it also was a step in level of competition for Tank. So yes, everybody wanted to see what Tank can do. He proved it. Let the man go on to be bigger and greater things. Okay? Let Tank fight bigger opponents. He's fighting Frank Martin next. A heavier higher ranked opponent than Cruz. So let's stop backtracking and put him stop backtracking and putting him back in time.
You saying
You're
Frank
trying
Martin?
to tell me that a Frank Martin fight is going to be as exciting as an Eastside Cruz fight with Tank?
Thank you, Sakura. Thank you, Sakura. I didn't have to say that shit. Thank you.
Where, James, you're right there. Where is Frank Martin in the rankings?
He don't show up.
Yes, they just showed it on the telecast. He's a top 10 fighter in the division.
Well, that doesn't mean very much these days. I mean, and what happened to him fighting Shakur?
Oh yeah. And if we're talking about the rankings, remember Francis Ngannou, who was 0-1, ranked in the top 10. Come on, that fucking rating. Ratings in boxing don't mean shit.
Yeah.
See, now that's what I was trying to get. I was trying to get y'all to get animated on here tonight, okay?
Well, I would say,
well, you hit Lucas's button right there with that ranking stuff. Now, I'm a Frank Martin fan. I just feel like we're talking about exciting matchups. Okay, I want to see Tank in there. You said with some big names. Damn it, Eastside Cruz has earned that name since fighting Tank, and he's earned his way back up into the top contender status again with these wins. And they're not just wins, they're like decisive wins. So we're not going to just, dismiss him because he has had a fight with him before. And obviously the reason why we want to see a rematch with Tank is because his hand injury in the fight, like made it where we didn't really get to see the best of both fighters in that fight. So we want a rematch. Run that shit back and let us see with a healthy hand, Tank, what he does with Cruz. that's different than before. Like, yes, we want to see that.
I would pass on that one, and hopefully he fights someone else coming up at 140. Like, there's a name down there that I really, really attracted my attention. His name is Gary Antoine Russell.
That's right.
Yes,
I
yes.
like him too.
I like him too.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty good. There's also another guy named Ismael Barroso. You all know him. There's Elvis Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So
He's
140.
been trying to get a fight with somebody top tier for, about a year and a half now.
Yeah. There's also Richardson Hitchens, and the one I really would like to see is Ryan, but that's not going to happen yet. But maybe Regis Prograis. How's that sound?
I don't know. I want to see
for any of those names you called. I'll watch it all. If Tank's involved in 140, he kind of fluctuates and goes back and forth with, holding down 135, but then going up occasionally to 140 for whatever opponent, is right for the picking. So we would just have to see if this is a trend for him to stay at 140, or whether or not he's just, still able to go back down to 135 to face someone like a Shakur.
With the way he fights, I want to see the Tank fight now, because you don't know how much Cruz is going to, we're going to lose of him. The brutal beatings that he's going to go through, and he eats a lot of punches to make his own.
Too many. Yeah.
This kind of style does not last long. And
I'm not a fan of that style.
Yeah.
I love the style, but these guys get eaten up and spit out in this sport, and James Kirkland comes to mind. He got his payday, he got what he deserved out of it, but it chewed him up and it spit him out, and I can see Cruz becoming the same way. So I would like to see him in some of those big fights before he gets
in his prime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Exactly. I want to see him in more fights before he gets another crack at Tank.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So you're saying you want Tank to be basically Kirkland's Canelo and go out with the big payday?
Oh no,
I wouldn't.
Tank is going to get some big fights at 140, and he's going to take on the best.
I meant Cruz. My bad.
There's also I got it. But there's also a chance that he might see someone like Shakur, or there's just so many.
But Gary Russell, to me and to you and to everybody else on the panel, we want to see that. But I think as a big money fight, that's not it. You know what I mean? I don't think that's a money fight. Or am I wrong? Is there a big draw in that? Because I just don't see it.
I mean, Antoine
Russell undercard
will be a little bit more visible, but also there are both from the DC, Baltimore area. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump for when they're used, with sparring and at different competitions and stuff. So I'm sure that's someone that he knows very well. Tank knows very well. That DC boxing scene is pretty hot, and they stay busy with the sparring, and also, incorporating fighters from other areas in that hub, because it's easy to get from Baltimore down to the Maryland side. So they've crossed paths and seen each other in gyms, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they. You know how it is when you got somebody you spar with, you kind of know their style and you're prepared for whatever. So I don't know if that one is as good a matchup as we think it is. So I'm a hold back on that one, but I would like to see Antoine in a couple of more fights before he's I don't want to say fed to Tank, but before he gets to that big money fight.
Well, the reason I say that is because he can brawl. And when you got two brawlers going at it, it's beautiful.
Yeah. But Tank is a little bit more calculative than just brawling.
Oh, no. I meant Russell.
Yeah, Russell. And I thought we were talking about a Russell versus Tank matchup.
Well, no, I meant Russell versus Cruz.
Oh,
He's
okay.
40, and his last Cruz's fight was this last fight was 140.
Okay, Rob, you're getting called out. CJ says, "Okay, Rob, who should Tank fight next if not Cruz?"
Oh,
So, good question, CJ. And we've all alluded to it. Some of the other fans have commented on it. We want to see Tank versus Shakur. We want to see Tank versus Devin Haney. We want to see Tank versus the top dogs at this point. That's what we want to see. Tank already said he doesn't feel necessary that he needs to last very long in this sport. He knows he wants the legacy fights and he wants it sooner than later. That's what I want to see. And then to even further answer your question, I want to see him round all of that out and move up even further to fight Terrence Crawford.
I mean, I agree with you to a certain point. It's just actions speak louder than words, right?
See here, where's the excitement in this, y'all? Where's the excitement? I'm saying that.
So if he want the top tier talent, you think that's what he's like? Oh, let me have a fight with Frank Martin.
He took on a challenger again that was ranked in the top 10 in his division.
He can't form a sense. He's like, oh shit. Let me.
No, I did not. I'm telling you, he took on that challenge for his next fight. To be honest, guys, his camp ain't 100%. He's without his trainer. We know this. We know what's going on in that camp right now. So I agree with the fight taking on Frank Martin. Down the line, though, sooner than later, Haney will happen. Shakur will happen.
Down the line, you said it was going to happen. That he wanted the people legacy fights now. No, down the line. You said that he said right now. So
I said sooner than later. I didn't say right. I said sooner than later. But
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead, Shakur.
That's pretty much right now.
Go ahead, James. You go ahead.
I'm saying that sooner than later is pretty much like now.
Well, down the line, I mean the next fight, the next two fights even.
Oh, Lord, now
you'll get there.
2 more fights before you requiring him to fight somebody that's like top tier level you were talking about.
Sooner or later, for me, I assume the next 4. Like that's what I assume. The next
thank you, Lucas. Lucas got my back.
No, that's just the terminology. That's just what I heard. That's just what I heard. But I agree, it's not now. You know what I mean? Like, for all he knows, he don't have 4 fights left in him either. So I see both sides.
Yeah, I enjoy Tanks that much that I want to see him more frequently, and I want to see these legacy fights, and it's exciting. But what I don't want to see is that he's still getting kicked down the can, kicked down the road, kicked down the highway multiple years.
He just needs to fight Shakur. Period.
Yeah. That's who's left at 135 now.
They do. They need to fight. Ralph, go ahead.
That shit is marinating.
Yeah. It's already marinated. Like you need to go ahead and put that on the grill. What are you saying, Ralph?
I agree with Ralphie here. Now, we keep talking about Tank and who he should fight next. And again, I think Cruz needs some more fights before we talk about that rematch. And Mateus versus Cruz will be an exciting fight. That would be a TNT type of fight. There's going to be dynamite in that.
Hold on now. Now I'm going to come back to what I was talking about earlier because just looking at that, I see brain damage. You know what I mean? Just that fight alone. That's Lucas, something that's going to shorten somebody's career to the point that whoever they fight next, they're already a worse version of what they started out before that fight.
But Lucas, he hasn't had a war yet. He hasn't had a war yet, though.
We're talking about Cruz and Mateus, isn't it?
Cruz. We're talking about Cruz.
He's ate some punches. I mean,
he hasn't had a war, guys. He's walked down every opponent besides Tank. Okay, let's agree that He's walked down every opponent besides Tank. He hasn't had a true war yet. So I don't see anything. Hell, look what he just did to Raleigh. Guys, he embarrassed that man. He embarrassed him and pulled back the odds of that fight because I believe it was very close. Was it not, Lucas?
I mean, I believe so.
Exactly. So give him that war and then fight Tank.
Well,
I love how Tank can fight Frank Martin. That's cool. But even Mateus, like, you need to do that. Like, he has to just go kill himself practically to get a shot at Tank. It's crazy.
Exactly.
Tank versus Lomachenko would be worth watching. I agree.
That's good.
Man,
Good
that's a pick'em fight almost. You just got to decide what style you're going to roll with on that one. Coach Lou, let's get Devin out of the way. He's not that good. Pitbull beats him.
Wrong.
Wow.
That's
Coach
hard.
Lou.
Now I'm not going to fully agree, but
Yeah,
Coach Lou, I'm not all the way against you either. That's a hard
Louis,
one. That's
I
a
mean,
hard one. You look at
Devin. Is he talking about Devin Haney?
I mean, you look at Linares and how he couldn't handle that kind of pressure. Haney's able to keep guys off that are a Lomachenko and some of the other guys that he's faced, but to keep a pit bull off, that's a different story. It's a different animal, and honestly, I'm not sure if he can do it. You know what? I think Coach Lou taught me into it. I think I'm backing Cruz on this one. I would like that.
No, he's too small for Devin. I mean, Devin is walking around right now like 170. Come on now. I mean, like, no. But my thing is, when it comes to Cruz, any opponent that he chooses, it's still going to be an action-packed fight because of his style. Yeah. But like Lucas, how you're saying, who knows how long that can last when you're taking that kind of abuse throughout each fight. You're taking on a lot of punches to get punches. So maybe that is the plan, to just diminish Cruz until by the time he really does fight someone like a Tank, it's not Tank it's not Pit Bull anymore, but it's, I don't know, what other dog, Kabishan.
It's just I can't see Cruz being stopped or slowed down by Haney's power. I don't think he would be disrupted by any means, and that was not going to stop him. He's still going to get inside and do what he wants to do. The only thing is Haney's going to have to run the entire fight, and if Haney can control the range and stay on his horse, then maybe.
You talking about a slick boxer? There's not going to be any running.
We might
Devin Haney, but
we might be talking about two different Haneys, though. We had the Haney that fight Linares, and now we got this 170-pound Haney.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say
which one?
There was a lot of weight draining when he fought people at 135. Yeah. So that made him a lot less strength-wise. He was just very weakened by the whole method of trying to make the weight. So a lot of times we weren't seeing the best of Haney at that particular weight class, I believe. I believe now that he's able to be rehydrated and he's not feeling as drained during fights, we're seeing a whole different animal now.
Well, it's a damn good thing that he moved up to 140, but he's never been 170. That's not Haney. And in the end, he would beat the brakes off of Isaac Cruz.
No, I'm saying his walk around weight is the night of Progray's fight, he was 164.
That's not one.
I gotta hear some comments, CJ. Who you backing? Because this is kind of interesting now in this stylistic matchup. I need somebody else's comments. Why don't you comment real quick before we change topics to Tszyu-Fundora? I really want to hear somebody's thoughts on this. Let's see, Coach Lou. Cruz defense against Tank was better than the Raleigh.
True.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I don't think he needed it as much. Didn't make his, yeah.
I mean, he knows how to cover up well. He has that Winky Wright kind of, long forearm from here to here, so it lets him be able to cover up a little bit more.
Yeah.
But boy, if you know uppercuts, if you know when to land them, Cruz is there for the picking. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
he does a lot of leaning in and his chin, he tries to keep it really tucked, and he does a great job at it. But then he doesn't see a lot of the uppercuts that are coming in when he's covered up in that defensive prowess like that.
For sure. And we've seen him, be a sucker to it before. Any stylistically, like you said, that defense, you're going to get nailed like that.
Yeah.
And not really needed for a guy like Raleigh, who every time he touched him, his hands went down. So he was a free target all night long. Rob, you came on like you were about to say something before we switch.
I mean, look, I don't want to see Cruz versus Tank again. And now y'all throwing Cruz out there to Devin Haney, another top dog. Come on, is this a joke tonight? What's going on? Am I being punked?
Okay. CJ says I'm back in football. Haney won't hurt him. CJ's on my side.
See, you know what, CJ? You on my list tonight. You are on my list.
All right, let's move to the main event, guys. Let's turn up here with this. Tszyu-Fundora was a beautiful bloodbath. Sakura, I know we talk about this last minute syndrome all the time, and it reared its ugly head again. And you called it. You picked Fundora. No, he didn't stop him, but
I don't know why I changed it to a stoppage. That was silly of me, because it ended up being, I said split decision when we were on the air, and then when James got ready to put down our actual, predictions, I changed it to an actual stoppage. So that was my bad for getting hype and wanted to support the underdog in the match. But yeah, the last minute replacement syndrome rears its ugly head again. And this was a situation where Tszyu actually did it to himself with the last minute, aggression that he was trying to do in the second round, at the end of the second round, coming in like that, and he ran right into Fundora's elbow. The gash was horrific. Now, we could have seen a better fight from Team Tszyu when it came to the cut man situation.
No, man.
There again, I'm getting into that fighter safety zone where it's like, why aren't cut men required to at least have a certificate or something when they are supposed to know how to help their man get through a fight physically, and be able to repair certain things so that they can actually see and breathe throughout a rough fight. And, that was a costly mistake for Tim Tszyu, because he wasn't able to retain his title due to that. I mean, we can go before the cut happened, and we saw the performance that Tim was, actually involved in, and it looked like it was great. I mean, he was just like, you knew it was going to only get worse from there for Fundora. And then it's when that, elbow cut, well, I don't even want to call it a cut. It was like a gash, situation came into play. So I feel like, but for that gash and but for a cut man that knew exactly what he was doing. Shout out to Stitch Duran and Mike Rodriguez. That's two just off the top of my head. Pay the money, guys, in these world-class, high-level fights. You need to get the best in there that know what they're doing. Not saying that somebody can't come up the ranks and, really get tutelage on what they need to do as a cut man. Not saying that at all. But I ain't leaving my championship belt and my elite status to somebody that, is in my corner that don't know really how to deal with certain things that can happen in a fight. I'm not.
Yeah, they just weren't prepared, and it's a shame that there's another issue there is that they let it go past 4. They should, the thing that I see here, and that you really don't know what kind of injury Tszyu could have sustained. I mean, I was thinking, what if this guy passes out in his corner between rounds just simply because of the blood loss?
Loss, yeah.
Maybe that's not a possibility. Maybe it is. Who knows? We don't know, I think. But the idea that there's absolutely no reason to let this shit go on. So that's where they really fucked up.
Yeah.
And then not having the proper technician in the corner, that's another thing. But here, in my estimate, Fundora couldn't close the show with that kind of injury. So I think Fundora got lucky here. And I talked to a lot of people about this, and that's pretty much the consensus. He got lucky. That cut was, it's accidental. And so you really can't blame Fundora for that.
I mean, but Fundora was hurt too. He also had a serious bleed situation with a broken nose. So he couldn't breathe.
That wasn't an elbow. He just got thumped on. And early.
Yeah. I'm not saying how he got it. I'm just saying that it was another injury at play as well.
I think Fundora got out by the chin of his chinny chin there. He got really lucky that, because I don't see this fight going Fundora's way if Tszyu is not bleeding like that. It's just
right.
This could be a short Tszyu, in fact.
Right.
He was in charge first 2 rounds, so I'm just saying. I think Fundora got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he did, but as a fighter and as your corner and your trainer, they should have known to stop that fight before the 4th round, right? I mean, everybody knows that fight gets made official. They fucked up bad, and Tszyu himself wanted to continue a lot. Maybe a lot of this is pressure from the pay-per-view, and I don't think anybody can deny that they were still entertained by the fight. But are you sacrificing fans for a loss is now the question. And you like CJ said, you got to give hats off to Tim for fighting on.
And the ring doctor here.
That's true.
I think the doctor had his head up his ass.
Well, the ring doctor said it is not fight impacting. He can continue. He said that clearly.
It's not fight.
Obviously, it was.
I don't see how not.
How is this not? You're right.
Right.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know. All I'm saying is you can hear him clearly say that. If you could rewatch it, it's clearly said. The very first thing they say is, "Oh, it's not fight impacting. He can fight on."
The guy's bleeding buckets over.
He said it doesn't look good, but it's not fight impacting. They can move on. And
like James said, man, he couldn't listen. Fundora pumped so many jabs at his ass because he couldn't see them. He couldn't see the jab.
I
the
think
whole fight.
I think he used wrong terminology because I honestly think he just meant like it's not going to get punched again to open further, at least not regularly. Do you get punched on the top of the head? But either way, he's still wrong, right? Because it's fight impacting is bathing your face. He had to paw at it, a lot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, though, that the fight might not have still went this way. Stylistically, very well matched. And, I mean, you could still see instances of what was happening before the cut. I mean, the fight didn't change a whole lot other than, now Tszyu's got some blood in his face. But guess what? I mean, he there's no way he could breathe well. And I'm talking about Fundora from his broken nose and all that blood gushing out of there. So he was fighting his own battles. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, you were given late notice. Okay, you got it would be different if it was an intentional elbow, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about experienced fighter, experienced corner that knew the rules and could have stopped this fight before it went official after 4 rounds. They choose to continue. I cannot fault Fundora for that. He still fought on valiantly and beautifully. He took on some tough shots from Tszyu.
Yeah.
So, he became champion. Whether you like how he did it or not, you don't have to. But you got to respect the performance he still was able to put on, even against an injured and blinded Tszyu.
Well, it'll be a while before we see Tszyu back in the ring because that's a very serious injury. But I understand that one of the sanctioning bodies has ordered a fight between Crawford and Fundora, which means that in the future we may see Crawford versus Tszyu, which is what we wanted, what we all wanted to see initially.
Right.
I think coming down the road.
But Dan Rafael has put out a tweet or an article that basically is from Fundora's promoter, that Likowitz, and he was saying to Tszyu, your rematch is ready when you are. So they're going to honor the rematch, and like you said, there may have to be a fight between there just to, allow Tszyu to heal and be prepared fully for this fight. So hopefully Fundora doesn't lose the titles in between them in there. But regardless, even if a title's not involved, I still think now that this is a big fight.
It is. It really is. But I'm just dying to see Crawford back in the ring. And at 154, that could be fantastic. And the other thing I got to say is thank you, Keith Thurman, for getting injured.
I mean, he's not wrong, guys. I mean, without Keith Thurman's injury, we wouldn't have gotten this crazy fight.
No, I feel
I gotta disagree on that. Like, I still think we would have saw an entirely different, more exciting and competitive fight with Keith. I feel like the elbow and the injury that Tim faced would have never happened when it came to a Keith Thurman fight.
For sure, but that's partly what made it good was the.
I mean, I just wanted to see the blood. Yeah, the blood wasn't everywhere. I'm just simply saying, like, I don't see that as necessarily a good benefit when Keith Thurman is out with an injury. Then Tszyu ends up fighting with an injury through the entire fight. Like, how ironic. It's like, damn, this whole thing got fucked up. Now Tszyu is not a champion to face Bud Crawford, and he's not a champion to face a Spence either, if that's what the next move was going to be, So, I mean, all the dominoes fell out of place on that whole matchup from the beginning. So, I'm not that excited. But I'm happy for Fundora because he was ready for that call since he was preparing for a different fight. And so he stepped in and it benefited him tremendously. Now that we see that he's not just a WBO champion, he's a WBO and a WBC champion. Like, he's a unified champion at 154 who just lost a fight in their last fight. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing odds if you think about it. Everything went in his favor, from Keith's injury to the sanctioning bodies deciding, okay, yeah, this can be a sanctioned bout now that both of you are 154-pound fighters. And then the injury in the beginning of the fight, because, I mean, it just looked like Tszyu was getting ready to, like, really put a lot of harm on Fundora, which breaking your nose is still, like, that was pretty bad, but that was still a serious injury too. I just feel like it was going to be a lot worse than that had Tim not, had that injury.
No, for sure. I think the Thurman fight would have been different in its own great ways. But I think mainly we're just talking about the bloodbath. We wouldn't have got it. Should have Thurman have showed up. But all right, let's go a little bit different here. Rewind to a comment I saw. So now Spence is supposedly next. The WBO mandated that Crawford is next. That is true, CJ. So we hopefully will see something form out of this fight. If not, the first bid will be on April 26th. So hopefully we get to see this fight come to fruition. Guys, just off top of this imaginary fight, do you see Bud having issues with Fundora? Not at all.
No.
No, not at all. Rob, you either?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Damn. We all were quiet for a minute too. We was all like crickets, like blink, blink, blink.
Then
No.
But I wanted to speak on that is PBC wants Spence. That's why Era was out there. PBC wants Spence. That's gonna be the next fight. WBO or not. That's gonna be the next fight.
Right, because the WBC could be like, well, we think that Spence should be your next fight. Let's mandate Spence for the WBC. So it's like either way, he gonna face, the opponent that they want him to face.
I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but Spence didn't look too happy that that Fundora was the winner. Man, he was like, "Oh man!" Like,
yeah, he's like, we can go back to Texas, because he already know like that's not the biggest money fight there.
No,
like,
it's not.
A way better fight for it to have ended up being Tszyu. So, like I said, all the dominoes just went out of place on this.
Yeah, I don't think it's just the money though. I think Fundora and the awkward style and everything is just.
That's true, and how tall and lengthy he is. I mean,
yeah,
that causes problems for fighters.
Yeah, it's got to be an issue. But let's go to some comments here. Spence is done. Fundora smokes him. I kind of see that, and that's why I'm saying like he did not look happy. He didn't look like he wanted to do that. What would you guys think? Spence,
yeah, I feel the same.
Fundora doesn't necessarily look like the best matchup. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Screw.
No. I was just saying the same. Spence is not going to be a Fundora. I mean, even if you just took ages, Fundora is in a way better physical space, and he's younger and more vital than a Spence is right now. If you just looked at it just from that, and then Spence, he's definitely looking for money fights, like he's looking out for cash out fights. That's what I see when he, says, "Come on, let's get it." You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, let me get this money. Like, I really don't see him like, competing any better at 154 than he was competing at 147. I mean,
plus he lost.
Great. Say that again, James.
Plus he lost his last fight. He got whooped in his last fight. So why would they into this championship scenario here? I think the best thing is Crawford. I think that was a good call on the WBO or A or whatever it is. I forget who it was, but yeah, that seems to make more sense to me.
Yeah, look all crazy.
I will say
in high tonight.
I will say he did not earn, this fight. So I think he has.
Why? Because he lost to Crawford last. Come on, y'all. Come on, man.
No. What are you talking about?
It's because he's not. He's trying to move up to 154, and Fundora now has titles that he wasn't even supposed to have. So now you enter into Spence trying to go for the matchup with somebody else who both, really didn't deserve the championship level fights at the 154 pounds right then. I mean, it's not just that we're not saying that Spence is not a formidable opponent that he was at 147. We're just saying that the timing seems to be off. And it's like, where the hell did this come from? All of a sudden, Spence, when there's other players at 154 that would want to vie for those championship titles, that's been there for a minute. That's what we're seeing.
That was just, because when he got in the ring, that was just PBC trying to insert their man, which is, in this case, Spence. Because it's a business, and that's all good. But I think, that the fact that Crawford is coming up to fight Fundora, and that's going to take a while because Fundora is injured because he got his mug broken. Mm-hmm. And so it is that it's going to be a while before we see that fight, but eventually we'll see it.
Well, that's why I'm team repeat. That's why I'm team. I want to see a rematch between Tszyu and Fundora. I don't know why that rematch clause Well, I guess I don't know why there wasn't a rematch clause for Tim Tszyu if he lost, but I do feel that that is a classic situation where there should be a rematch between those two. They
I,
both need time to heal.
I think it's in play now. I think in the last
Okay.
it came back, into play, so it could be a thing. But there is that order to fight Crawford, and so that's what I really want. Also, I think it'll be a while before we see Tim Tszyu because of that injury. I said that earlier. I think it's going to take a few months for that to go.
That's what I'm saying. It's gonna take a few months for that nose to also heal too. Like, to be honest, that's why I feel like both of them gonna be out about the same amount of time with their injuries. And the two of them make the best matchup for a rematch over, the Crawford situation or the Spence situation.
But who cares if his nose is broken? Homeboy's like 20 feet tall. They can't even reach him.
Well, he does bend down, like he gives up that height. So yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I just feel like the best fight and the most hype fight would be him and Tim Tszyu for the rematch without the blood gashes, without the nose problems. Like, let's see them two go at it without all of these different injuries involved.
You guys see Tim Tszyu
much
at the press conference, and he was kind of like shadowboxing on the stage, but he was throwing his punches straight up. That was funny.
Who was that?
I didn't see that.
Tim Tszyu's a good dude.
Yeah, it's
Oh
funny.
wow. He's like, I like what he said after the fight too, when he had the post-fight interview, when he was like, I'll fight anybody. And I took, when they said, it's Fundora, do you want to do it? He said yes. And that's the kind of champions that we want to support. We want to support those that are like old school throwback type fighters that take risks, that take chances, that's willing to fight someone that's actually competitive or that would actually cause them some issues. So I want to continue to support Tim Tszyu just for that fact, because that is the very definition to me of a real champion.
Yes.
Somebody that is willing to fight whoever comes up and thinks that they're better. It's like, yeah, damn it. Well, you prove it. And I'm willing to get in the ring with you so you can try to prove it. Like, so I don't think anybody should be turned off from Tim Tszyu. Matter of fact, I think this makes me actually like him more.
Yeah, I mean, he proved something, and like you said, to just go ahead with this fight, especially against a guy as lanky and is going to cause as many problems as Fundora does, to just say, yeah, hell yeah. So it's actually getting a champion that truly thinks he is the best and is going to just take on all comers. It's rare. CJ says if Fundora smokes Spence, then he would also have a good shot against Crawford. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking just the style and really Fundora's long, lanky ass is going to cause a lot of people issues. I just think that's going to cause issues for anybody. And let's be honest, after Mendoza knocked out Fundora, everybody assumed Tszyu was going to KO him. Okay? We all did. It's okay. But that did not happen. We seen that maybe Mendoza just got him, but Tszyu is obviously more powerful and landed some clean shots, as we can see by the screen down below. He landed good shots. Let's not take anything away from Fundora, guys. I think this guy has a true champion in him as well. I just want to see what other fights we can get him into. Maybe Mendoza was a fluke. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe he was. I don't know if Mendoza was a fluke, but I just say that Fundora got caught with a punch he really didn't see. And he learned from having his chin up, backing out. Can't do that. And I told you guys that's why I was like thinking that he might win, because I just couldn't see him making that same mistake again. When I know, like, when you get like your first loss and you like really hit the canvas like that, you're like rewatching and rewinding and just really trying to correct what happened. And I think that's what the case was with Fundora, because he was really more prepared to take harder punches from someone like Tszyu, and he had really a lot less time to prepare for Tszyu, with 10 days notice. So we got to give him kudos for being able to take a good punch.
Right, and then also Mendoza was on the undercard. He fought Serhiy Bolhachuk, Ukraine, and that was a good fight. If you guys saw that, you saw a good Mendoza. He's really, really, really tough. He fought a fantastic fight against Bolhachuk. Didn't get the nod. That was a decision. But if you haven't watched that fight, I would definitely go back and watch it. It was good. It's a really well. And in fact, I want to say this has probably been one of the best weekends of boxing that I've seen in a long, long time.
What? Get out of town. You were happy with the pay-per-view card?
I mean, that was a really, really good card. The Friday night card was good, and then you had, the card from Las Vegas was fantastic.
I mean, Lara was pretty impressive. Out of everybody, I really thought Lara was the most impressive.
Man, yeah.
With a dude, like, right away, shockingly, the power was there. I mean, that was a beautiful punch to see, Lucas. I mean, you can't, that was like, all right, Lara.
Lara looked great. Yeah.
Well,
Lara looked great.
Ray Martinez had a good fight as well. So, I mean, the card was pretty killer.
Yeah,
you're right though. This was a really, really good weekend of fights, and this coming weekend there's not a lot. I'm not going to be honest with you. And we talked last weekend, is the pay-per-view worthy of the price? I hate to admit it, but you're right, James. I hate pay-per-view, but in this case, I think they built a pay-per-view card at least worthy of it. Let's not forget Rolly Romero versus Isaac Cruz in itself is a main event, right? And it's been a while since we've actually had a decent co-main event underneath, another championship fight, especially of this caliber. So I think that's been missing for quite some time in pay-per-view.
Well, I put up a link on our chat. I hope you guys used it, because that's sort of the way I got it. I got that from my nephew. Shout out to my nephew. Sent me a link and got to watch everything. So it was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, but regardless, still an amazing weekend of fights. And it's been much needed in the sport as of late. Let's go. We have fantasy fight predictions that James puts up. So we're going to try to keep putting these and sharing these on the show as well. Here is the things, and I'm going to make this full screen for everybody to see. It just makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to be humble here because I already know we've done this in the past, guys. Let's just say I didn't end on top. So I will be humble in these predictions. But you can tell where we're at right now. And Sakura forgot to pick one, I believe, and then she changed one of hers. So not everything is as it seems. I'm sure she will be making a comeback. And then the rest of it is obviously very close. So in this game, as you could tell, you make just one or two wrong choices, it'll catch up to you. So then James also gives out some bonus points. Anything else I'm missing an explanation there, James?
No, I think so. You know what? I didn't consider bonus points. Maybe it doesn't factor in. But yeah, no, it's been fun putting this together. And it's $1 million up for grabs, right?
Oh, yeah.
200,000 a piece. That's the sanctioning fee. So you are well on your way.
Yeah, it's very fun, regardless of who wins. Sakura, I think you're on mute.
Getting...
No, still can't hear you. There you go.
I'm sorry. I was the only one that picked Fundora to win, and damn it, I still didn't get credit for it.
Okay, you got 3.
I changed it to that damn KO at the last minute.
So you got 3 points there, and then for Mendoza or Bolhachuk, what were you thinking? What What was your prediction?
Oh, I thought Mendoza was gonna win that.
Did you say Bohachuk? You did. Okay, so that's another 3 points.
Yeah, sure. Okay, we can change that. I need some bonus points.
But no, definitely keep watch on these. We're going to be doing this for the next couple weeks anyway. Let's go back to full screen just for a second here and get rid of that. All right, so next fight will be on 420, so a couple weeks here. And we will do Haney versus Garcia. And then we'll end it at the end of the month here with Francis Bartholomew and Jose Ramirez versus Virgil Ortiz and Thomas Delorme.
Which actually is really good matchups if you think about it really carefully.
Oh,
and
yeah.
not just think about the names, but they really are both really solid matchups.
Yeah, for sure. No, they definitely going to require some thought. So, like you said, you catch up anytime, I'm sure.
I would rather see Ramirez fight Ortiz than Delorme fight Bartholomew, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's true. That's sad. But no, please give us your predictions and, incorporate yourself within our predictions. It's a fun game to play while we're waiting for fights to come on. So,
one last thought though,
Sure.
Can you guys imagine if Boots would just go on and move up to 154 right now? Oh my God, the excitement of it would just, whew. Let's see who would run for the hills out of the division.
yeah,
We're not Boots. We're not getting. We need a steady diet of Boots.
Yeah, we need him to eat more.
Should have fought Crawford at 47.
I hope. I don't know.
It'd be nice, but I don't think Crawford wants to go back to 147.
No,
Well,
I think he's chasing them big names now.
Yeah.
They could have had one in the books.
Could have, should have.
True, but then that would be like a legacy type fight where, you got the new guard going after the old guard. So, I mean, it's kind of like it would never be an actual really equal fight to me. Because they just are in the same, like Boots and Virgil were supposed to be like the next era of welterweights. That's how I look at Boots. And then Virgil, of course, he moved up to 154 where he looks a lot better and health wise. So now we're just left with Boots and an empty freaking division. When it comes to big matchups, not saying it's empty as far as there are not other boxes he can fight, just saying like huge matchups, like mega fights, there's nobody left because he was bringing in or ushering in a new era of welterweights. So that's why I'm like, man, just go on and like, because now you a paper champ, an email champ, and it's like just go on up and get you some money where everybody's at 154 and you have more options to make bigger matchups.
Yeah. It sucks. I don't want to have to see him do that and go up, but that's probably what he's going to have to. Yeah, chase some of the paper with the rest of them, go after those big fights. But I agree, it would be very entertaining, very exciting should he announce that he was going to go up. Problem is, he's got to go up and he's got to make a big enough splash that the other guys want to fight him. I think right now it's very high risk, little reward for fighting Boots. So he's got to get somebody to fight him. The question is, who's it going to be? It's going to
reminds me of Triple G a lot. It reminds me of Triple G where
it is, yeah.
And he can follow that line of competition in order to get to that bigger name. Force that person into a corner. Like, hey, this guy done went through all of these. Like, now it's time for you to step up.
That's right.
That's how Triple G did it.
Yeah. And he might have to follow that same blueprint. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
CJ says, I guess we have to wait another week for Rob's pound for pound tournament final. Yeah, I guess he bounced out on us. I apologize.
Oh, but CJ, you want to join us for another week.
Yeah, you'll be here anyway, CJ, won't you? He ain't going nowhere. Sorry about that, though. Yeah, we were looking forward to it. Rob just bounced. You can get after him next week. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, we appreciate it. We every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and as always, we don't pull any punches. See you on Tuesday.